If you're still considering whether you should buy Battlefield 2042 or not, this video is perfect for you. So make sure you watch the entire thing and hopefully it can help you make a decision. This video will be broken up into 3 sections: gameplay, updates and patches, and maps and content. Over each section I will cover whether 2042 is exceeding or failing in these categories and how I think they might improve them in the future. And just before we get into it, remember that these are my own opinions and you're more than welcome to say your thoughts in the comments section below. And without further ado, let's start off with section 1. Gameplay. I've got to be honest, I've enjoyed 2042 since it launched. I know the specialist system didn't really fit into Battlefield and there were loads of glitches which somehow I didn't get, and we didn't even have some basic functions that are in all Battlefield games. But at this point, most of that's fixed and a lot of the community is starting to get back into Battlefield 2042, which is why I've decided to make this video. There are currently 3 main game modes in the game, which have been there since launch. All Out Warfare, which is basically your generic Battlefield experience with Conquest, Breakthrough and other limited time modes. Portal, which is a true sandbox experience where you can fully customize your own server, which comes with 6 reworked classic maps. And finally we have Hazard Zone, which is effectively a battle royale, but there hasn't been any updates to it and it seems that DICE has abandoned it, so I'm not really going to cover it. Portal is still pretty broken with XP farming, but there's genuinely some people out there that are making some great game modes and people should be able to run their own server even when they're offline, if they own the battle pass. That should happen now or at least in the near future. And DICE is still adding more functionality with every update. I'm not really sure if Conquest needs any introduction, but the weapon pool is exponentially getting larger ever since DICE began to import weapons from Portal into the game. This adds a greater variety to gunplay. With all the attachments, the options are endless. Specialist abilities are not too overpowered, however some are definitely a lot more useful than others, and I personally don't think there's enough gadgets to unlock. But that could just be me. The vehicle pool is a little bit bare bones, but I do understand that they have to limit the amount that can be deployed on the battlefield at the same time, because like in every Battlefield game they can be very powerful, so it doesn't really make much sense to have loads of options. Although I might have sped through that quite quickly, I don't want to drag the video out for ages and let everyone get bored, so let's quickly move on to section 2, updates and patches. When Battlefield 2042 first launched, there were a whole host of bugs. The hovercraft was the most OP vehicle and only a few of the weapons even worked properly. However, the gameplay has improved dramatically, and with each update and patch I feel like the game keeps getting better and better. And let's be honest, nearly every single Battlefield game launches in a terrible state, and then as it slowly gets improved, more and more people adopt it. Battlefield 4 had a ton of server errors, and Battlefield 5 had that controversy with the history and the lead developer. And every single game seems to get to a point where the vast majority enjoy playing it, and I can't see why 2042 will be any different. Obviously we still don't know whether DICE will drop the game after the legally binding 4 seasons, but I hope they don't, because if they keep working on it I think Battlefield 2042 could truly be great. But this isn't even including the whole host of updates we've got already. Some should have been implemented in the game at launch, like a proper scoreboard. However, all the maps are also being reworked, and I'll happily say that Orbital is now amazing to play on. So with that in mind, let's move on to the third and final sections, maps/content. As of the making of this video, there are currently 8 new maps and 6 classic maps that have been updated and imported into Portal. However, I'm going to focus on the new maps and weapons because I think they make up the main part of the game. The maps are absolutely massive, which brings both great pros and terrible cons. They can be really fun to play on and explore, and there's lots of POIs that you can defend and battle across. However, most of the time both teams are fighting over 1 or 2 of the objectives, leaving the rest of the map barren. So while everyone's just dropping into 1 or 2 spots, the rest of the map's just empty. Also, if there aren't any vehicles available and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, it's going to take ages to get back to the battle. And because there's a lot of open space between points of cover, you're just going to get mowed down by a camper with an LMG. But it's not all bad though, as DICE have stated they will be reworking all the old maps, and now Orbital is insanely fun to play on. And finally, we'll cover the content available in Battlefield 2042. Let's be honest, every season we're not getting loads, 1 map, 2 or 3 new weapons and maybe a new vehicle. However, we have only had 2 seasons so far, and DICE have been working on the backlog of improvements to get the game up to standard, rather than pushing out new content. So hopefully season 3 might bring more than we expected to. Who knows? All in all, I can say that I'm completely enjoying 2042 at the moment, and at the prices of 20 quid, why wouldn't you pick it up? Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.